So the Seven Deadly Sins are back with a new animated story set 16 years after, I think it was the Demon War, where we finally saw the Demon King get destroyed and taken out. And because this is set 16 years afterwards, anybody can kind of dip into this, even though that you don't know the characters that have come before. This is kind of going along the ride of a journey of the new characters and then referencing some of the old, and eventually as we get into subsequent episodes like the next batches, we will see some of those original returning characters. But let's talk about Netflix's The Four Deadly Sins, and I say Netflix's is because they acquired the rights, so they're calling it their original. It actually isn't. The first 11 episodes have dropped. Let's talk about it. A kind young boy named Percival lives with his grandfather in a remote area called the Finger of God. But the world would not allow this peace to last. An encounter with a mysterious knight changes Percival's destiny and reveals a startling secret, causing him to set out on an endless journey. So if you've been a fan of the Deadly Sins, then you know, well, the 7 of them, then you know the animation started off amazingly strong and just kind of went like that, according to most fans and myself as well, just went woo. It felt like the budget was just stripped from them, and then they went from that beautiful sort of 2D with 3D rendered backgrounds to the CG 3D fest that it became with the film that they split in 2 parts, The Grudge of Edinburgh. And some enjoyed that, but most were just like, what on earth is this? And then the story was pretty basic as well. And so this is the new story that we've been waiting a long time, because so many fans that have read the manga or have seen it earlier, because, you know, it doesn't air around the world apart from Japan as quick as it does here, have been eagerly anticipating this, but with bated breath wondering what they're going to do with the animation style. Thankfully, they've gone back to that 2D style, again with the 3D rendered backgrounds for buildings or monsters, so you still get some of that weird looking 3D. Obviously, it saves them a lot of time and stuff when they're doing certain mechanics, like there's a dragon that is that 3D weird use of animation style, and there's some attacks that are used in 3D, but for the most part our characters look like they used to, which is great. It just feels much more right. You feel at home watching this sort of style than the others. Now I would say when it comes to voice work, the English dubbing is pretty good. They sound like the characters like you'd expect any anime characters to sound, but if you want to get that authentic experience, watch it in the original language so you can get those subtle nuances within the voice inflections for what the script had originally. But I think either way you'll be fine. The animation style I think is vibrant and fun. The action that you see in here is great, but it comes down to the story. That's what we all get involved with, and like I mentioned, you don't really see any of the 7 Deadly Sins in the first 11. There are things that are hearkened to, alluded to, and there are moments, especially in the last episode, the 11th of what has been dropped, that they're kind of now connecting the world that we knew of. Wow, learn to speak. Know of. And there are often narrating moments of stuff that has come before, so kind of setting you up, kind of reminding you if you've forgotten, but then also helping you if you're a first time watcher watching the new story of the Knights of the Apocalypse. I always thought that Arthur was meant to be the good guy, and somehow in here he seems like the ultimate villain, so it's going to be interesting for me watching this and unpacking that. But we follow Percival, and I think he's a very likable character. Reminds me of a certain Deadly Sin, especially one that is stunted with growth, especially with a weapon that we're seeing kind of here that is kind of holding all the power. Because it's the 4, we're going to be going on this journey and meeting up some of the other characters. I don't think we have the pervy character, although I think Percival might be. Percival's actually 16, but he's tiny. That always takes the females a little bit by surprise, because they think he's a young kid, but he's actually really old and super powerful. And then we get the other, like, magic users, poison users. We get that journey of those characters that they meet along the way. That is the tried and tested formula of anime that does it right, does it well. If you can stick to that story and make your characters lovable. Percival's the type of character that draws people to him, generic in its way that we've had so many of these animes tell stories. Like we have the guy, like One Piece, like all the other big hero animes, Asta, where they're these guys that are larger than life characters that just believe in the hero's journey and people are drawn to them. That is what you get here from the Percival character. If he's one of the Knights of the Apocalypse, well, you'll have to find out for yourself, but he certainly definitely has the power, even though he's so young. He's being trained by his grandfather, but he knows nothing about the world. So we have this fish out of water storyline that is really fun for us to see here. He knows nothing about towns or people, and everything to him is a wild adventure. And that's what's part of the, I guess, the endearment to the character, because you are on that journey with him, seeing him experience all the fantasy and the creatures and the fairies, the monsters. All of that is a massive adventure for him. So it really kind of opens up the world to that kind of escape and adventure that we love about anime. So this was a much better true return to form. Now, I still don't think the animation is as good as it used to be, but this is definitely much better, especially when we see some of those action moments. I was loving some of the fight sequences we were seeing as they encounter people that are way overpowered to them, and you're wondering how on earth they're going to survive. But it's one of those anime that the more closer they come to death, the more things that are unlocked, or friends that they never knew they had. Can't really give it a rating yet because this is just the first 11. What's interesting about how Netflix are dropping the episodes, apparently each week, rather than individual episodes, they're dropping batches. I thought there were only 24 that were requested for this first season, so we'll see whether the next batch is split into 2 for the rest of the 24, or we get even more. But one thing is for sure, we're only scratching the surface of where this story is going to go. I imagine we're going to get a few seasons out of this story. So let me know your thoughts and feelings. Who's your favorite character so far? I'm loving the red fox. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.